Oh, I'm live and I'm supposed to do a countdown, but I didn't even do the countdown. Anyways, well, hello, World Wide Web to everybody out there that's watching. Good afternoon and welcome to Seattle's Eastside Real Estate Podcast. This is your go-to source for all things related to living, working, and playing on the East Side. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, please like and share as we can get this out to more people. If you're watching later, you can comment and we'll reply back to your comments at a later date. You can definitely hear these podcasts anywhere podcasts are podcasted. We have them on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Those are just a few of the ones that we have. Please rate and subscribe and come back for more captivating content. This is going to probably be the best podcast you have ever heard in your entire life. So I'm so glad you're here because we're going to have some great information for you. But of course, before we get to our guests, which are Tucker Maxwell with Guild Mortgage and Brandon Brockway Ring of Key Home Inspection Services of Washington. But before that, let's kind of talk about what's going on in the market. In our Real Talk segment, we're going to talk a little bit about pricing a home, but I want to kind of share with you what's going on in the market. So I am going to present a screen capture here, this guy. All right, so let's take a look at what is happening in the market. So every month I review the numbers in great detail to kind of get a finger on the pulse of what's happening, where we're headed, and basically so that I know how to advise my sellers to price their home. If you take a look at this chart, what we're looking at are three of the larger cities on the east side, Bellevue, Kirkland, and Issaquah. And on a side-by-side comparison, you can kind of see that these are the homes for sale in those areas. And as you kind of slide across, you can see this is January of 2020, and this is, it looks like March of 2023. One thing that stands out is we are not at pre-pandemic levels of inventory. Matter of fact, if we actually move this back 10 years, we can kind of take a look and see where we sit as far as inventory. And it looks like in 2019, and I felt this in the fall of 2019, we were starting to have a balancing market, meaning this inventory was moving up in the right direction. And what happened? Well, what happened is interest rates fell, and that kept people in the market. And then the pandemic hit, and we thought, oh gosh, this is going to fall some more as far as home inventory would increase. But actually the converse happened, is more people came out buying because they were uncomfortable in their home. And so essentially we are still below where we should be, which is quite honestly somewhere right around here would be nice. But that's the inventory number historically speaking. Now, when we talk about pricing a home, what we really are doing is looking in the rearview mirror somewhat, but also looking forward. I just met with a gentleman yesterday talking about the pricing on his house, and this is how I shared it to him. I said, essentially, we'll talk about a price today, but when we actually go to list a house, we are then going to look at your competition. So all of what the statistics are showing you is the history. It's not showing you what's actively available. But let's, for that, for some context and information, let's look at the percentage of list price. So what this shows is that the pricing and the velocity of the market for sellers between 2021 and really May of last year was an anomaly, right? And actually, if we even go back 10 years, we can kind of see, historically speaking, that there isn't really this idea that homes are going to be selling for, 5, 6, 7% above asking price. So mostly you see stuff here. Now, the second chart is percentage of original price. Now that's an interesting one because you're kind of seeing a little bit more change. You see the market jump up, and then what we're probably going to see is a little bit of a trough here, which is evidenced here in 2020, where homes for a period, and that looks like it was leading up to 2020, so 2019, the end of the year, because of the inventory numbers that were going up, we're actually seeing, kind of a pullback, right? So what feels like falling prices is actually people looking at the list price and then comparing it against the others. So I'm bringing back in the conversation about other properties and how they compare, and deciding that this home is not worth it, so they go to another home that's lower in price for the same features. So as we look going forward, this is what's super weird about the time right now is we can take this funky looking chart and go back to days on market, and you'll see that we are still down below, it looks like 5, 6, 7 days, even though we have this idea that prices are falling, and that is mostly because of this here, homes for sale. So interest rates are pulling buyers off the market. Sellers are choosing not to make the move. I think this spring should get stronger as buyers get a little bit more confident in the interest rates staying in a spot where they don't get sticker shock. And we'll talk with Tucker some of the other tools and tips that are helping folks there. So long story short is there's a lot that goes into pricing a home. What I did today was just kind of lay the groundwork for understanding what's going on in the market. It's a very unique situation. And I would say that from a standpoint of maximizing the sale of the house is you have to be very conservative in your list price, understanding that by overpricing a property, it's going to sit on the market, and then a price drop will happen. When a price drop happens, potential buyers are looking at that as what's wrong with the home. So we want to not undervalue the property or underprice the property, because it will deter some skeptical buyers, but we want to actually find a fair market value, one that fits in really nicely. And as a real estate professional doing this for 20 years, just to be clear, if somebody calls me and asks me for a price of a home, it comes down to understanding their needs and wants, their timeline, and then understanding their specific market. So if somebody just throws out a price, they probably don't know what they're doing. They're probably just trying to get a listing. So, all right. Well, the bottom line is this: price your home at the current market value. It will sell faster. It will be a more solid contract, and you'll maximize the net that you receive. So, if you're interested in learning about selling your house in this market, I'd love the opportunity to chat. That is our Real Talk segment. Next up, after the Real Talk segment, we're going to be welcoming back our mortgage specialist, Tucker Maxwell. We had a guest last week, so it'll be good to hear from him. So come back after this short commercial break.